Hi there, this is Ronnie coming at you with another video. Interesting video, I'll do the link to it, from Becky Dungeon Girl. Ruining orcs. Oh dear. She made a couple of points I thought was interesting. And I did a comment on the video. I just wanted to expand upon it very quickly. One of the comments, it was a kind of double comment. One of them was regarding, essentially, stop viewing orcs as simply sword fodder. And I would agree. I mean, I am guilty that when I'm doing sort of one shots, or very small sort of introductory adventures, I do tend to sort of stick within cliches. Simply because especially if you're dealing with brand new players, I think it's a nice way of easing them into a world. I accept that that's probably open for debate, but that's the way I like to do things. So there's that. Then there was a comment about, non-alignments. We'll gloss over the fact that she does say that playing non-alignment RPGs makes you better in bed. As I said on the quote, I've been playing non-alignment RPGs for decades, and yeah, I don't think it's improved my bedroom prowess any at all. It's probably a video for another day, but I've made a video about this before, about alignments. I've tended to move away from alignment systems. In fact, the closest I've done to an alignment game is the one I'm currently running on Google at the moment, which is the Blue Rose game, which does have 3 alignments, which is light, shadow, and twilight, which essentially is going back to the sort of Becky D&D idea of lawful, chaotic, and neutral, respectively. And it hasn't really been an issue in the game so far. It might be, it might not be. Given that my players all watch these videos, I'm not going to say whether it will or not. But it's there. It's a thing. It might happen. The big thing for me is I do agree with Becky that if you're playing a long-term game, you're playing a big campaign, is to stop using orcs, and for that matter, stop using monsters as sword fodder. And actually, I'll pull back from that word to stop seeing them as necessarily monsters. One of the things I tend to do with my horror games, I've sort of moved away from, I mean, I do occasionally do the odd supernatural one, but I tend to like my horror to be humans bad, because to me there's nothing scarier than the monster within ourselves, the monster we create. So that interests me, that intrigues me, that excites me, and so on. And similarly with fantasy, is to move away from the idea that the only reason orcs exist in your game is sword fodder. As I mentioned in the comment on Becky's page, one of the reasons I kind of got to this point was I started playing the first game my first RPG was the Becky D&D system, and the first sort of fantasy role-playing game I played after that was the Palladium fantasy game, and that one, as well as having quite a complex set of alignments, or certainly more than Becky D&D's 3, And the fact they had no neutral, which I thought was a nice idea. The thing that it had was playable races. Now, I hadn't played AD&D. This was my first introduction to the idea of race then class rather than race and class, which is what happened with Becky D&D. You know, elf was a class, dwarf was a class, fighter was a class, and it was always human. Moving away from that was going into Palladium, where you had races and class. Obviously, for people who play AD&D, and for people who play D&D today, you know, it might be quite eye-opening that there was a time when you had games that were just, you know, simplified things to that extent. But it got me in the mindset of treating everything as every race as a race. That they're not necessarily good or evil or anything. They're just beings. And I think as a rule, we need to do more of that in our games. I said sort of flippantly, I can't, that it's one of the reasons I've kind of pulled away from general fantasy, certainly D&D. I mean, I do have sort of basic sort of high fantasy where orcs are pretty much, you know, the bad guys and that's it. I mean, it's. I think if you're going to have an orc band that's a bad guy, fine. But don't make them the bad guy just because they're orcs. You know, or we need a group of bad guys, let's have some orcs. It's slightly different for I will touch on Blue Rose again. There are a lot of creatures. There's a section of creatures called the Shadow Spawn, and the reason that they are evil is because they've been tainted by shadow. And then, you know, there's thing similarly with Dragon Age, where, you know, there's been taint as well. Remarkably similar systems, actually. You could probably use Blue Rose as your basis for running Dragon Age using a True 20 system, to be honest. So yeah, for me, I would like to, you know, for me, there has to be more emphasis on the races, rather than making assumptions, rather than relying on sort of cliche prejudices. It's alright to get away with that, I think, in a short game if you're doing an introductory adventure. Anything more than that, play with the idea. Just play with it, expand. And if you have a game system, or if you're running a game system, and I don't care which one it is, that doesn't really allow you to expand on those, then either break the game to allow you to do it. You know, just whatever rule says you can't move that line, ignore it, fucking move the line. Or, you know, let's do it. Let's you know, try a new system, folks. So yeah, I just thought I'd throw my tuppence in. And that's my thoughts, and I'll be back soon with another video.